Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Fall 2021 NNLM Region 3 LIS Fall Development Awardee presentations. I'm Bailey Sterling, Technology and LIS Coordinator for NNLM Region 3. We are so thrilled that y'all are here, to have y'all here as our student award winners showcase what they've been working on. Now and always, we are very grateful to SEC MLA for allowing us this forum for our students to show off their work and for us to remain plugged in with such an awesome group of information professionals. So thank y'all very much for that. As I'm sure is the case with all of you, we very much look forward to this conference every year, whether it's in person or virtual. Before I pass the mic on to my students and colleagues, I do want to take a moment to answer an important question. What is NNLM? I'm so glad you asked. The network of the National Library of Medicine is the field force of the National Library of Medicine, which falls under the umbrella of the National Institutes of Health. We're focused on health literacy, progress in the field of medicine, and improving public health. In order to effectively address the unique needs of highly varied populations in our country, NNLM is divided into 7 regions, each region with a regional medical library, or RML, that serves as sort of a headquarters for that region. Each RML spearheads and manages NNLM outreach efforts for their region. And each RML serves in 5-year cycles. So here you can see on this map, there is a picture of, there's a map that has the NNLM regions numbered and divided by color. And Region 3, the region that I represent, is here in the middle. And you'll recognize that most of the states in Region 3 and SEC MLA do overlap. Our region, NNLM Region 3, is based at the University of North Texas Health Science Center in Fort Worth, Texas. We serve the states of Arkansas, Louisiana, Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, Oklahoma, and Texas. We used to serve a different set of states that included New Mexico, but New Mexico is now part of Region 4. Shout out New Mexico, we miss you. We served as RML from 2016 to 2021, and were recently re-awarded this honor for the next 5 years, 2021 to 2026. So here you'll see an image of the front of our library, Lewis Library at UNT-HSC in Fort Worth. NNLM Region 3 is interested and invested in growing the professional skills and opportunities available to LIS students in our region. To that end, we are thrilled to introduce you to this batch of students who have proven to us through their applications for the 2021 LIS Fall Development Award and our recent collaboration that the next generation of health information professionals is alive and well and ready to bring us into the future. 3 of these students come from schools in states new to our region, which we're so excited about, Kansas and Missouri, and 1 is from right here in Texas. They have each prepared for you a presentation overviewing a key NLM resource.
Okay, well, thanks. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce Kristen Burroughs. Kristen lives near Kansas City and is pursuing her MLIS degree at Emporia State University. She has 12 years of experience in healthcare and has been a registered nurse for 9. She currently works as a nurse in a Kansas City hospital and as a customer service associate in a local public library system. She has a special interest in diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives in health sciences. She also enjoys crossword puzzles, reading, listening to podcasts, and traveling. So at this point, I'm going to pass this over to Kristen.
Hey everyone, thank you guys so much for all being here. This is so exciting. I'm slightly terrified, but you've been such a welcoming group of people, so this is great. Before I get started, I also wanted to just thank the NNLM Region 3 team and Margie in particular. Today I'm going to be talking to you all about a resource called DailyMed. I am going to start with a general overview, then go over some search strategies and some additional features, and I'm happy to take questions at the end. But this is a resource that admittedly I was only a little bit familiar with when I started. So I'm curious if anyone has either had the opportunity to use this or to teach someone to use it, and if so, in what context. So if anyone has kind of a real world application, type it in the chat. That would be cool for us to all see. And next slide, please. So DailyMed is a database of labeling information for prescription and over-the-counter drugs. And it also provides information on biological products, some medical devices, cosmetics, and dietary supplements. It provides exterior packaging labels, prescription bottle labels, and that giant, massive, double-sided fold-out that's in 5-point font that I know every single one of us reads from front to back when we get a prescription. The DailyMed information specifically pertains to the exact medication that's being dispensed, meaning this manufacturer's version of Synthroid at this dose in this form. So not just general information about Synthroid as a medication. The in-use labeling refers to displaying the most current up-to-date information that's been submitted to the FDA, and all that information comes directly from the product's manufacturer. And I will go over why that is important in just a minute. And there are some good examples in the chat. Thank you guys for including those. You can move on to the next slide, please. So who is this database for? There are aspects of it that make it usable both for consumers and professionals, but in general, it's a little bit more helpful for professionals. The prescribing information includes specific dosing information, indications for use, how to prepare and administer a drug. So it's very scientific and technical language that is not helpful for most consumers. Carton and container labels and drug facts are more consumer friendly. I'll show you all some examples of those in the next slides. You can see in the image here, for some products, there is a toggle button that allows you to choose between a professional or a consumer view. Although I've found that the information doesn't always change, but there may be circumstances where it does point out important differences. And I wanted to say just a little bit about making sure that you're pointing the right user to the right resource, particularly for consumers. I'm sure that everybody here knows Medlineplus may be more helpful for a lot of users because the language is less scientific and a little bit simpler. So DailyMed is not going to be very helpful for a consumer who's trying to find general information about a medication that their doctor mentioned. If someone looks up the drug metformin just by the drug name, they're going to get almost 450 results. So in that instance, Medlineplus would be much more helpful. On the other hand, DailyMed is ideal for pharmacists and prescribers who likely already have that general knowledge. They just need more specific information about what exactly is being dispensed. Next slide, please. So please, everybody, accept my apologies for this extremely text-heavy slide. I know this is breaking so many presentation rules, but I wanted to give a good example of the language differences between DailyMed and Medlineplus. So if you just take a really quick skim through it, you can see that the DailyMed description has a lot of medical terminology and jargon. The Medlineplus information is much easier to digest. So this, thank you, Laura. This is just an illustration of the importance of pointing someone to the appropriate resource for their needs. Next slide, please. On the left is an example of prescribing information, which again is geared towards healthcare professionals and has a very technical and scientific language. The picture on the right is a little bit more familiar to all of us, a lot more readable. And then on the next slide, I have pictures of drug facts, if we can move to that, which you would normally find on the exterior of over-the-counter medications. And again, that's a lot more consumer friendly. Next slide, please. I wanted to talk about some search strategies that are tremendously helpful with DailyMed. by far the easiest way to get exactly what you're looking for is by searching the drug's NDC code. And that's going to give you the exact drug, exact form, and exact manufacturer of the medication. That is important because multiple manufacturers may produce the same medication, or one manufacturer may produce different forms of the same medication. So for instance, capsules versus tablets, intravenous forms, or extended release forms. So you always have to be pretty careful to make sure that you're looking at the right thing. And if you don't have the NDC, you can also search by dosage and or form, or you can try to narrow it down by manufacturer. And all the information on this slide is found on the exterior drug packaging. Next slide, please. So if all you have is the name of the medication, this is what your results are going to look like. So you can see that having any additional, more specific information is going to be really helpful to make sure that you are narrowing your options down to getting exactly what you want. And then I also just included a quick list of the basic categories that are listed for each item on your search result page. Next slide, please. These are some additional options that you can choose in the advanced search. You can look for active or inactive ingredients or entire drug classes like sulfonamide antibiotics or insulin. I included what I think is an example of a really helpful search option. In my practice area in nursing, we get a lot of requests for liquid medications for children that don't contain things like red food dye or corn-based ingredients or sugar. So if you use the type of query that I mentioned here, that is going to pull up every form of liquid acetaminophen that does not contain red food dye. So keep in mind that you're still going to need to look through the results because there are some versions that are of the acetaminophen that are going to contain other medications like codeine. But this really helps narrow it down when you're trying to avoid a specific ingredient. UNII codes are unique ingredient identifiers, and those are another type of code that can be searched, but they're a little bit less common than NDCs. Next slide, please. DailyMed is very useful for pharmacists who may need to print and view labels. On the left, you can see some of the label components listed on a medication entry on DailyMed, and that menu is collapsible. So if you're looking for a specific section, you can just view that section instead of having to scroll through a very lengthy document. The labels can be viewed, exported, or printed using a number of different formats. And then the labeling archives on DailyMed let you look at older, potentially outdated labeling information. So by default, you can only see labels from the current year, but you can reach out to customer support and get older information if you want to. Next slide, please. And then just a quick note about some other things that DailyMed offers. There is a wealth of information about FDA recalls, and that's not just limited to medications, which is great. And then both consumers and healthcare professionals can report medical product adverse events online. And that option is also available in Spanish, which is great. There is also consumer safety information, including which medications are present in breast milk or box warnings. And box warnings alert prescribers and consumers to potentially serious adverse effects of a medication. And an example of that would be the risk of dependence or addiction for some narcotics. And next slide, please. These are the references that I quoted from. Thank you all so much for your time and attention. This has been absolutely great, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity. And I am happy to answer any questions that anyone might have.
Hey, thank you, Kristen. That was so informative, and I appreciate it because it's not a resource that I use, but now I know so much more about it. So let's see. You're getting a lot of claps and
Thank
great
you.
jobs, and very thankful. I do notice that you introduced some people to a new resource, so excellent.
Great.
Yep,
Thank you
somebody's
all.
going to share it with their pharmacist mom. Okay, well, let's see. I think I saw a question pop go by here. Let's see. Okay, so here's a question. Do you think this would be useful for optometry students and faculty?
You know, I have to be honest, I am a little bit less familiar with the scope of practice for optometry versus ophthalmology. Certainly, there are prescription eye drops and things like that on the website. So I do think that it would be useful for some things like that. Possibly limited use. I wish I just knew a little bit more specifically about what they prescribe versus an ophthalmologist, but I do think there would be some aspects of it that would be helpful.
Great. We just have a couple more minutes for questions. And some people mentioned, the fact that this is free and ready to use. And I do think that that's, just such a great thing to let people know, especially once they leave their practice area, we have free resources.
So I really just want to reiterate how impressive, this is speaking personally, how impressive I think these students are. To kind of give you an idea of how this worked, they applied for this award and really started working on these projects last month. And they were really just given like, okay, Sierra, you're doing a presentation on OpenEye, go. And they were told to make a presentation kind of from scratch. They worked really closely with my colleagues who presented each student today. They presented the student that they have been working with. So, I do want to say a special thanks to Edward and Margie and Jen for all the work that you have done with these students. I think the proof is in the pudding that this was a great collaboration, and these students really did a great job. I also do want to point out they were operating under really, really strict time and presentation guidelines so that we could make sure this was streamlined and that everyone got a good amount of time for their presentation. So, I truly am impressed, and I wish that we were in person so that they could hear the applause that they deserve and that I know y'all would be giving. So, thanks again for all your affirmation, everyone. So here's our office contact information. Feel free to reach out whenever. My boss, Executive Director Brian Leaf, likes to say we answer our phones, but I didn't put our phone number on the screen. Silly me. So please email us, or you can go to one of our websites here at the bottom to find our phone number if you'd like it. Also, this second link is our email list sign up. So feel free to head on over there. It just takes 1 minute. We send out 1 to 2 emails a week about different events we have going on. And then that's, of course, how we distribute our quarterly newsletter as well. If you are signed up for our email list, then you got a short bio of each of these students. Just, I think, last week. So these students will continue to work with us throughout the semester. We look forward to doing professional development activities with them. We have some exciting things planned. So here we're seeing in the chat that put this on your CV. Yes, I agree. Put this on your CV. And, this was a great opportunity for them to present at a professional conference, but also a great opportunity to see really how amazing the next generation of medical librarians is. So thank you to each of these students. Y'all just did a bang up job today. Really amazing work.
Thanks for watching. This video was produced by the network of the National Library of Medicine. Select the circular channel icon to subscribe to our channel, or select a video thumbnail to watch another video from the channel.